From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show is a late night. Your boys keeping it kind of short, but sweet. The Noles headed back to the Supers once again. And some initial thoughts as we begin to compile our preseason top 40. Yes, we talk some football. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Don't think I need any of it, though. Still buzzing from this past weekend. Tallahassee Regional, the Noles region champs. Gotta love it. But hey, you might be sluggish. You might have had a long weekend. Kids' parties, lawn work. I don't know, just being a grown-up and all the things that you have to do to be a grown-up. Well, there's help out there, and it's in a safe bottle, everybody. Not even 2 fluid ounces. It's just caffeine, all-natural caffeine, absorbed just right to give you that 7 hours of energy. Shoot, I think it's going to carry you through your entire day if you choose to take the entire shot. Give it a shot. It's Vitamin Energy, VitaminEnergy.com. Sip the juice, clinically proven. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. Home of great recruiting insight from Michael Langston, Matt Lasser, The Jeff Cameron Show and Tom Lang, Gene Williams, founder and administrator, Ira Schofel, managing editor, writing out what we call gamers in the journalism game. Basically, what happened at the game, I wasn't there. Ira's going to write a whole story on it. You can read about it. Corey's going to add color with a sidebar story, maybe like a subtext to what happened in the game. All that stuff is what you get at warchant.com. And you get to listen to the podcast with Corey Clark on it. Here he is, everybody. It's Corey Clark. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Aslan? How are you doing, man? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for that warm introduction. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm great because, I don't know, probably about 4 hours ago, 3 hours ago. I'm going to date this show a little bit, sorry. Okay. I'm going to have to go to Dick Howser Stadium on Monday afternoon and chew my nails with Mason Martinez and Peyton Manca, hoping they're going to somehow get us out of this regional and into the Supers. And then, poof. Nope. Wrong. They had to cover the whole time, Corey. Never in doubt. Florida State wins on Saturday. They go 3-0 in their regional. They took care of business on Friday. Link Jarrett, prophecy fulfilled. The weather being a problem, causing that 2-hour delay or so in between it. Or not in between, but during the actual game against Bethune-Cookman. Florida State kind of hangs on in that one. That was not a pretty performance. Then Saturday night, controlled, dominated, I guess you could say, Mississippi State. And then on Sunday, first pitch of the game, Mississippi State takes them yard. They tack on another in the 5th. Felt dire, especially because we didn't have our head coach. He got the gate in the 2nd inning. Crazy Sunday, man. I was so glad to be there with you and Ira. How do you absorb it? How do you process it? Are you still processing what happened this weekend and on Sunday in particular?
Oh no, I processed it. You know, it wasn't life altering, but it was a really cool weekend. And I thought Saturday night and Sunday night especially were what makes Howser so special. That was a great crowd both nights. Jamie Arnold gave him a lot to be excited about on Saturday, and Miles Bailey too, because that's what Miles Bailey does now. And that place was electric. Arnold electrified him with his stuff, looking like the guy from last year, just completely overwhelming a team. He hadn't done that a ton this year, but he looked every bit as good as he did last year. He had 2 bad pitches, essentially, 2 or 3 bad pitches, but he was great. And then Mendez was better than him against the same team, gave up less runs and more innings. On Sunday night, and that place was electric. And it started with, Mississippi State started it, man. I don't know why that pitcher was like that. It's a big moment, and I get that he's excited to get out of an inning, and is fired up. I do not know why he would feel the need to turn towards the Florida State dugout and do what he did. Just basically
crotch chopping it.
Yeah, he learned the lesson the next 2 times he got it. I mean, Florida State left the base low the whole game, it seemed like. He learned his lesson the next time because he started shouting at his own dugout. But that first time he shouted right at the Florida State dugout emphatically twice. And that's why Link got run, as he said after the game. It's like, man, we talked before the series, before the regional, about an expectation of sportsmanship and what to do, what not to do. He didn't go into great detail on why they felt the need to do that, but I feel like it had to do with, like, Florida State's a pretty excitable club. Mississippi State is too. They're from the SEC. They're used to this, and they didn't want to start like a melee. Which, look, man, what that pitcher did after that strikeout, if Max Williams, who struggled until that last at-bat, if he somehow hits a home run the next at-bat, he might have thrown his bat into the Mississippi State dugout. And then who knows what happens. So I think that's what Link's point was. It's like, you've got to curb this now, and I think you wanted the kid ejected because both teams had been warned. In at least a warning, but maybe an ejection. Instead, the umpire did nothing but throw Link out of the game, which made it an odd Sunday night. But credit for Mendez, man. He was great. That's the best he's pitched all year. He's been really good the last month or so. He's turned into the guy I think they thought he was. And then Cal Fisher and Max Williams and Miles Bailey came up with the big hits to send Florida State to the Supers, Aslan. And weirdly, not every SEC team got there. Mississippi State was one of a few that got dispatched because although they are the best baseball conference in America, they are not unbeatable, and it is not 16 gods playing with mere mortals. They can be beaten. They are not unbelievable. They put their pants on just like everybody else, and it's really hard to win college baseball games anymore. And they found that out this weekend when they didn't get to play each other. And they actually get punished for losing series now. Their RPI, I'm sure half their RPIs went up after their losses this weekend, but who cares? Their season's over. You don't get to lose 2 out of 3 in a weekend and stay stagnant or move up in the polls. Your season's over. And that's what a lot of the SEC found out about this weekend.
All right, well, let's dive into it then. Where does Florida State go from here? We still are not 100% sure as we're recording this. Oregon State and Southern California are locking horns, and I think Oregon State's taking an early lead on them, so we'll see how that goes. Florida State gets the winner of those guys. If SC were to win overnight, they're coming to Tallahassee. If Oregon State holds on and then beats SC later on Monday, Florida State goes to Corvallis.
Yeah.
But I think, looking at this team, we obviously realized they were not going to be what they were last year offensively. You lost a guy who's already in the show. You lost a guy who's on the brink of it, on the cusp of it with James Tibbs. Ferrer, Cantu, Dinges, list goes on and on.
Dorsey, who was huge for him. Oxford. I mean, they're not probably major league guys necessarily, but they were really big parts of that team.
But I just mean, like, offensively, we thought they were going to take a step back. But maybe it's not nearly the step back we thought they were going to. And then Wes Mendez kind of taps into the Carson Dorsey postseason elixir we're hoping. I mean, Dorsey did it in 3 outings, if I'm not mistaken. I think he did one. He did in regionals, supers, and I think he did all right in Omaha, if my memory serves me right. So we'll see if Mendez can do another performance, and it might be on the road again in Corvallis. But I think this offense might be a little bit better than we had anticipated. And this pitching staff, although Vellini might have taken a step back in some of our estimations with the way he performed on Friday, you got to love the way Mendez pitched. And now you start thinking about, all right, this is no longer this weird regional format. This is a best 2 out of 3. You kind of think about Jamie. You think about either Mendez or Vellini. Joe Charles was really solid this past weekend. It's hard to not feel very optimistic about what this team can be because, as you mentioned, all these SEC teams falling, a lot of them were ahead of Florida State ranked. So this feels like a very wide open season. Maybe Florida State doesn't have the team they had last year, but there is not that juggernaut of Tennessee last year, and everybody else seems pretty mortal right now, Corey.
Yeah, it's wide open. Look, man, I there was some stuff that, if you watch every game in a vacuum like we do talking about this team, there's always going to be some stuff to nitpick at. I thought some at-bats on Sunday were horrific. Just Max Williams looked completely lost until his last at bat, and I want to get there in a second. But they left 15 guys on in 8 innings. They left the bases loaded 3 times. One of them was a Cal Fisher rocket shot, and he had a great weekend, by the way. But the other ones were just weak strikeouts with the bases loaded. I mean, it's just you don't get a lot of chances against good teams to break games open. You put a lot of traffic on. They did a great job of that. I think they drew 20 walks in their 2 games against Mississippi State. Shout out Jackson West leading off their go at the 8th inning with a walk. He was second of the game. So there was some stuff to like, but then, man, there was some grossness all around. But that's going to happen. I mean, they struck out 15 times in 8 innings. There were, what is that? There's 24 outs they made. 15 of them were strikeouts. Like they got to put the ball in play a little bit more. You got to have Lodis and Max be Lodis and Max. Like Lodis struck out with the bases loaded. I think he was thrown one strike and he swung at the other ones. But I don't want to kill him because he got on base 4 times, I think, in the game. So he did some good things. He just wasn't he wasn't that special bat that he's been all season, and yet they survived anyway. They went 3-0 with Lodis, I think, having 2 hits, both singles. And, not doing a whole lot, not impacting the game with his bat a whole lot. They still managed to win all 3 games. That does show what they're capable of. You would just like maybe a little more, professional style at bats. Their offense isn't as good as it was last year because you don't have Tibbs and Ferrer and Cam Smith. I mean, you had some real humdingers last year, but Miles Bailey is one of those guys.
My God.
I mean, holy moly. Like that, they gave the regional MVP to Jamie Arnold. It doesn't matter. I don't know if that – do you even get a plaque for something like that, Aslan? I don't know if that's listed anywhere in the pantheon of all Florida State accomplishments. Like, oh, who's made an all-regional team? Or who was the MVP of the regional? But it should have been Miles Bailey. The grand slam he hit on Saturday against Mississippi State was the biggest hit of the weekend. He also had a double that came before the Cal Fisher 2-run homer on Sunday, and then also had an RBI single right after Max's that was hit 108 miles an hour. He walked 4 or 5 times. He had the home run against Bethune that went 1,000,000 feet. He just had a great weekend, and he has turned into a superstar caliber player. He struck out once this weekend, like I've talked about a lot. He struck out like once in his last 33 plate appearances. He's getting on base a ton and doing a ton of damage. He has been a superstar. Lodis and Max, if they can find that this next weekend, wherever they're playing, and then moving on, if they do move on, yeah, man, why wouldn't they? Because what they have this year that they didn't necessarily have last year, I think, and I could be wrong, not trying to jinx anything, Arnold and Mendez, to me, is about the same as Arnold Dorsey last year, the way Dorsey pitched at the end, right? Yeah. Like, Dorsey was really good in the regionals, and he was really good in the supers, and he won a game in Omaha, too. Like, he pitched really well. If you get that kind of effort from Mendez, that's what you want. You want Arnold to be Arnold. Bellini's kind of a wild card, but you do have a guy that's done it before. He was not pitching well before the quote-unquote lightning delay. And then he hasn't really pitched all that well the last 6 weeks, so you don't know. But he'll be fresh whenever he pitches again. But, man, I think they might have their closer in Charles. And that's a development. They didn't have one of those last year. If we all remember how the Tennessee game ended, they didn't have and Charles might have even pitched in that game, but they didn't have a lights-out closer. Charles might not be lights out. That's a little too much, but he's looked really good lately. That's a really nice weapon to have at the back end of your bullpen if you need him. To go along with Arnold and Mendez, and really good defensively, and you just hope that the special bats, the dudes that will be drafted in the first 2 or 3 rounds of the draft, which will be, Lodis might be a first-rounder, but I'm talking about Lodis, Max Williams, Drew Farreau, to go along with Miles, who's crushing the ball, and Cal Fisher had a good weekend. That's a quintet there now that if 4 of them are hitting well, that's a really tough offense with a lot of power.
So does Joey Vellini become Connor Whitaker?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting. We don't know when the Super Regional will be. We don't know where it will be, but we don't know when. It could be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It could be Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I would think if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, then Arnold probably starts game 1. And maybe Vellini can pitch some on Saturday and some on Monday. I don't know. I wouldn't. In a Super Regional, if you get the chance, I don't know that I would pitch Vellini. Like, it would be a bummer if it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so you don't want to pitch Mendez on short rest. But I want my first 2 pitchers to be Mendez and Arnold at this point. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how you could argue otherwise, but it might be hard if they have the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I guess you could pitch Arnold on 6 days rest, 5 days rest, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's not a normal week's rest for either one of them. Yeah. They'd be moved up a day. So I don't know what Link would do in that case, but you hope they have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then you just pitch Arnold, Mendez, and hope for the best. But you put yourself with the chance, man. You're one of 16 teams left. You've seen teams, number 1 and number 2 already went down. Texas and Vanderbilt were the top 2 seeds in the tournament. They're both gone. Losing at home, of course. Georgia lost. I think, who else?
Did you say Vanderbilt already?
Yeah, Vanderbilt and Tennessee both lost. Vanderbilt and Texas both lost. So 1 and 2 are done. And then, I think almost everybody has to go to another of the top 8 national seeds, I think all of them have to go to another game. So, man, it is wide open. There's no reason Florida State can't do it. You got to get a little lucky, and you got to pitch like you did this weekend, and you got a shot.
Ira asked Link this. Interested to get your thoughts on it, but just as you mentioned, all these national seeds, a lot of them ahead of Florida State, bow out. I don't think Vandy went 0-2 in their own regional, but we haven't mentioned also the Gators loss. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Miami
Clemson
currently
got steamrolled.
Yeah. Miami currently losing to Southern Miss right now, too, so it looks like they're going to end up playing again on Monday for the right to advance. But for Florida State to kind of come out, and they went 3-0 in this regional, as tight as it was on Sunday, it was never fully out of there. It was nothing like it wasn't like they pulled a horseshoe out of you-know-what to pull that game off on Sunday. The way this team is kind of constructed, and especially with Link Jarrett at the helm, and I know we talk a little bit about the injection. I know we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of it, but just having him lead this program just fills you with such confidence. I feel like if you've been paying attention to this baseball team and you look around the country, that's like, that's a lot of what I'm stemming and basing my hopes for the next, hopefully, 3 weeks of baseball that could be left for them.
I mean, yeah, man, he's clearly good at what he does. He took over a program his first year. Obviously, horrible. Not all that was on him, obviously. He wasn't left with a great cupboard, and he didn't do well with it. But these last 2 years have been exceptional. That's 2 supers in a row. I don't know how many teams have gone to two, at least as we're talking now, how many have been to back-to-back supers. Not a ton. And then I just want people to appreciate it. And I know it's hard to when you've never won a national championship. But Vanderbilt and Texas are very, very good. Very good. Georgia had a great season. Clearly, they all got top 8 national seeds. They didn't even make it out of their own regionals. Vanderbilt went 1-2. They lost to Wright State twice. No, sorry. They went 1-1 against Wright State. They barely won the opener after getting no hit for 6 innings. They won 4-3. But, man, it is hard to win in college baseball. It was hard this weekend. Like, I know they won that final, the first game against Mississippi State 10-3, but you never felt, until you blew it open, you never felt totally confident in that one. You didn't feel all that confident with Bethune. It was 2-2 when the lightning delay came. And then I think it was Bailey that hit. Was it Bailey that came right out of there and hit a 2-run homer right after the delay? I think so, yeah. And then you felt pretty good after that. But, credit to Prescott. And, like, what if Peyton Prescott has a bad outing? You know what I mean? What if he hangs a couple of those sliders? Or he throws a fastball, he can't throw strikes? You could lose to Bethune. Because you had to get 6 innings out of your bullpen. It's really hard to win in college baseball in the postseason. It is. Look around. They're not huge names. But, like, as we're talking now, LSU's probably going to win their regional. But right now they're down 6-3 in the 5th to Little Rock. Oregon State lost to St. Mary's. Georgia lost to Duke and Oklahoma State. Lost to Oklahoma State on a walk-off. Texas lost to Texas San Antonio. Like I talked about, Vanderbilt lost to Wright State. Like, it's hard to win. So appreciate what this guy has done, and just appreciate what this team has done, even if they don't take another step. Getting to the supers is a really cool accomplishment. You want more, but, man, there's 100. How many college baseball teams are there? 200?
I want to say like closer to
300?
260-something, I feel.
There's 16 left, and you've been one of the top 10 or 12 teams all season long. And then when it mattered, your 2 best pitchers, pitched really well, and you got enough timely hits to get through. And it was cool that Hauser got a weekend like that. Like, obviously the Saturday game, the Friday game with the weather delay in the afternoon, it wasn't a great crowd and it was Bethune. It wasn't a great crowd for that one. But those Saturday and Sunday nights, that's what college baseball is all about, man. That's kind of why we do what we do, Aslan, for nights like that, to be in an environment like that. And it was just a really neat, cool atmosphere. And I'm glad Mississippi State lost. And then as soon as they lost, they hired a new coach. So congrats to them.
Took them from the ACC. Brian O'Connor from Virginia.
Yep.
Unbelievable. 299 teams in Division I. And the last thing, they kind of like buttoned things up with Link, and I don't want to go too ahead of my skis here, but I would give him a lifetime contract, and I get it. Like, you have to win. Super is awesome, making it Omaha, whatever. You have to win the whole damn thing. That's the purpose of this job, and that there's only one thing left to do, and I get it. But, like, what really made that game open up on Sunday was, that inning where Gage Harrelson lays down, let's be honest, a pretty bad bunt.
Yeah.
Jackson West gets a pretty bad jump off the bag too. But the way that bunt was fielded and thrown and the chaos that ensued, like that's the kind of stuff that we would always see Florida State do.
Yeah.
And not just in Omaha, but in big moments. And it's not saying that they're immune from this kind of stuff because Link Jarrett's here now, but they just seem so crisp and sharp. I mean, there was like a 5-3 put out from Cal in the middle of the game where maybe Lodis would have been able to field it, but I don't think
he's
he
not
would have.
throwing him out. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a great play, man. It's a great play by Kyle Fisher.
Fisher like charges in, fields it, literally spins, not because he's trying to show off, because he has to get the throw off to get the out. I think Farreau, there was a Lodis, it was a 6-4-3 to where for Lodis, like, I don't know, he delayed the throw, he underhanded it to Drew, and then Drew like flips it. I mean, the way he winged it at first, you're like, oh my God, he's going to airmail it, but he gets it to first on time, and they get out of it. They got to have another jam with a 6-4-3. So the things that had held them back for so long, although base running still there apparently, but Link was
wasn't base running, that was base coaching.
Base coaching,
that wasn't Max's fault at third on that one. He should have gone home on that sac fly. And Drew Farreau hates it. It cost him an RBI, and it was it should have been a not in a bat. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. They won the game.
Yeah, they play clean baseball, man.
Yeah.
They're exciting to watch, and I know for some people it rubs them the wrong way to see the way they're loud about it. But I like it. I enjoy it. It's an awesome thing, and you talk about being in those environments, and there's just part of college sports still feels college covering college baseball, and that's why I think I like it so much. So.
Well, yeah, and look, man, he's a very good coach. I'd hold off on the lifetime contracts just yet, and I'm not trying to do this to diminish anything.
We're in good hands, though, Corey. Like
100%.
If he can't win it all here, I don't know who could. I just feel like I would be shocked if we look back in 10 years and he's still not here and successful.
I would be too, but here's what I'll say about it is that number one, who knows what college baseball the landscape is going to be. With full rosters maybe and scholarships and NIL, but when you look at the team that was last year, the strength of the team was Cam Smith, James Tibbs, Ferrer, Jamie Arnold. None of those are Link guys. This year, Jamie Arnold, not a Link guy. Who's our Lodis, Link guy. Max Williams, Link guy, but portal guy. Farreau, Link guy, but a portal guy. But let's see what this team does. Fisher, Link guy. Chase Williams, a Link guy. I like the core of what he's done, but player acquisition is so important. And I think that like the
evaluation, Corey, sorry to
interrupt. No, that
like,
too. Yeah,
Max
absolutely.
and Jackson
Yep.
West were not slam dunk guys coming out of Alabama. So
absolutely. So I like the evaluation, the development, all of that is on point. It's just a small sample size, and the pitcher the best pitcher they've had is a guy that was here before he got here. So you've got to prove that you can bring in the more of the Wes Mendez's of the world. But again, Mendez wasn't great shakes for a good long while this year. I think Link keeps intimating that Mendez might be a first-round pick next year, the way he talks about him. He's got and he was throwing 95 in the 8th on Sunday. He's got really good stuff too, and he's got a personality fit for it. But yeah, everything that about a baseball program, you like what he's done. You really do, and you like that just the way he sees the game. He's had two really good rosters these last 2 years, and he's still standing. And most importantly, like you said, they don't beat themselves that often. That's why that North Carolina game was so bizarre with Harrelson letting the ball drop. That's not stuff they normally do. And that's why it stands out when it does happen. But they're 20-year-old kids. You're going to make mistakes. The major leaguers make mistakes. But by and large, they are one of the most disciplined, maybe not at the plate, but in the field, they're disciplined. They don't make a ton of mistakes in the field or on the bases, typically. They're athletic, and they play hard. And that's a really good – those are really good core values of a baseball program. And they've got kind of I don't want to say kind of like he feels like a Rain Man-esque coach. Yeah. Like he just sees the game differently. Yeah. Now he's not sitting there saying who's on first. He's not running through the who's on first routine or counting was it toothpicks matches, counting toothpicks on the floor. But he just sees the game in a different way, and that's why the column I wrote about that's on the site after the game about like what that must have been like in the most important game of the year for him not to be able to be in the dugout. Must have been that would have been fascinating to watch how he handled that. But man, yeah, he's got a good staff, put together a good staff, and he's got a good team. And look, man, I look at this team still as like an underdog. Like they still have a lot of not unproven, but like Cal Fisher's never played in a super regional. Chase Williams never played in a super regional. Lodis has never been the guy in a super regional. And I honestly think that kind of got to him a little bit this weekend. Like
yeah.
The head is heavy when you have to wear the crown. Like Tibbs went through it last year. Remember, I know he had the 3-home run game, but he struggled in Omaha. He struggled before the 3-home run game. He walked a good bit, but he wasn't killing the ball.
Yeah, the 3-home run game I think was in the clinching game against UConn too. So
the supers, but he was not great in the 4 postseason games before that.
Yeah, right,
and he wasn't really great after that, but he was great in that game. But so Lodis has never been the guy, and you could tell he was pressing, coming up with the bases loaded and swinging basically anything that was airborne. Max has been pressing. But if those guys can become the dudes that they are, like just settle down and be the guys that they are, Lodis might be a first-round pick. Max Williams is probably a second or third-round pick. Farreau probably a fourth-round pick. Jamie Arnold a first-round pick. Miles Bailey, whenever he decides to come out and play major league, get drafted, I assume is a first-round pick. Chase Williams is going to be a high-round draft pick, I think, if he keeps developing. Like, Cal Fisher is going to be a draft pick. Like, there's no reason this team can't go win it all. There have been less talented teams that have won Omaha.
Yeah.
So it's time. It happened for Florida State. They have the pieces. It's not all perfect. No baseball team is, but they got some really nice pieces, man. And if they can build on this in the way they played to close out this regional, then yeah, man. Get to Omaha and give yourself a chance.
If you can't make it to Omaha, maybe they're going to be in Corvallis. Go to the Cornbaka Bar and Grill. Official, unofficial viewing parties of Florida State baseball and any Florida State sports because they got 40 TVs and people that know how to work them, everybody. It's incredible.
So if they're in Oregon State, I'm assuming at least one of those games would be a night game, right? Yeah. So they might be playing like 10:30 at night out in Corvallis. I'm guaranteeing you folks.
Warchant After Dark?
If Florida State is playing Oregon State in baseball in a super regional and it's on at 1 a.m. or 1:30 in the morning, the 8th inning, Bill ain't closing. He'll be open until he'll have to stop serving alcohol at 1:45. But those TVs, that Vegas wall will be on until the game is over. I don't know if you can say that about any other establishments in this town, but Corner Pocket will be open.
And it's going to be serving delicious food.
Amen,
That's the
brother.
thing, too.
Amen.
Also, downstairs, apparently a big soccer watching crowd, too, since I know we're talking about baseball and people are mad about baseball. I mean, how about we talk a little soccer, too? My buddy's coming in town. He asked for a recommendation. I said Seventh Hill Tap Room because the internet told me that, Corey. Apparently a big Arsenal bar.
Oh, okay, of course.
Premier League.
I guess so. Get there at 8 in the morning and watch your soccer, you hipsters.
Anything you need, upstairs, then downstairs. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 7th Hill Tap Room. CPTallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. We're now into the month of June, Corey. You know what that means. Oh, I should have had the music ready to go, but I don't. Because we don't actually have the top 40 ready yet, but we were supposed to submit we have to submit our top 40s to the boss, I think, by the end of business today.
Uh-oh.
Me being the overachiever that I am, I submitted it before I went to Hauser on Sunday.
Monday. He has to have it by Monday, or he had to have it by Sunday?
I think by end of business Monday.
Oh, okay, good. I got time then.
I don't think you're going to enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was, there's a couple guys I'm like, I'm just not putting them on my top 40. I just can't do it. Cannot do it. I put my first 11 and I felt good about it. And then after that, I'm like, oh boy, I don't really feel great about a lot of these other pieces. And I'm like, well, that's barely half of your starting lineup. So then after that, I'm like, let me just go ahead and make a fake projected depth chart. And then I started kind of piecing some things in there. And I'm like, okay, I guess. So, I mean, we already knew this was going to be kind of I don't know, can we call it a top-heavy roster? We just thought that, at least on offense, right? They went and got the pieces they thought they needed on the offensive line, a couple wide receivers. We'll see what happens at running back. But we're not expecting, 5, 6 dynamic pass catchers. And And I still don't know what's going to happen at running back. I refuse to put Osmane Cromah really high on my list. What are some things you initially think you'll be approaching this top 40 with when you start writing it down? Or I think he actually gave us a Google sheet to fill it in on a little spreadsheet, so it's easy to tabulate.
Yeah, it'll probably be, I'll be looking at, I just think when you get to the back half of the 20s, are you going to be wincing and cringing a little?
Yes. You probably
that's
will
what
be. I did.
Not like, oh gosh, this kid just can't play, but more like, man, it would be nice if you knew if this kid could play. You know what I mean? Like, it's better if your top 10's good. That helps. That's really good. I mean, I would assume when we did the exercise in 23, if we went back and look at who came in like 31 to 40, there were some misses there, but the top 20 was pretty doggone good. I can promise you that. Whatever it ended up being, that top 20 was really talented. And that back 20, maybe it wasn't nearly as good as even we thought back then. So it's not the end of the world if your back 15 or so aren't great players. But you hope the top 10 is. That can hide a lot of it. It can mask a lot of ills if you've got a really talented top 10 or 15. So. But yes, I'm assuming the last 12 or 15 guys that I'm thinking about putting in there are going to be completely unproven. Or I'm going to be hoping that they're taking a big leap forward from what we've ever seen. How many running backs did you have?
How many running backs?
Yeah. 2?
I think 3.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know no order right now, folks. I'm not giving away the secrets. Yeah. But obviously the Oklahoma transfer, Cromah, and then Jalen Lucas. By the way, speaking of running back, shout out to Mekhi Danzy.
He's a wide receiver now, Corey, by the way. But anyways,
sorry. Well, whatever. He's a slot running back for me. Yeah. He qualified for the Nationals out in Eugene, Oregon.
In the 400.
In the 400, which he holds the national best record time right now. So he'll be going out there. He didn't run all that fast this past weekend in Jacksonville, but he didn't have to. He's just trying to qualify. He did. So he's on to nationals in Eugene, and that will be in a week and a half maybe.
Nice. By the way, you and I both had Braden Fisk 7th on our top 40. You want me to go like top 15 or top 20 from 2023 composite?
Why don't you do my top? Can you do my top 20, or is that too hard?
Why not the composite?
All right, fine.
I
just want to see how smart I was.
We'll do Corey Clark's.
I want to see how smart I was in 23.
Number 20, Akeem Dent.
Okay, all right. Starter, played well at times.
19, Lawrence Toafili.
Hey, that's ACC championship game MVP, Lawrence Toafili.
18, Tatum Bethune.
Okay, that's fair. Think about that, man. He was a good player.
He was.
And he's number 18. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
You think we can get something out of Stephon Thompson or Elijah Herring that's close to like the same? Yeah, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Fentrell Cypress 17th.
Okay, I like that. That's fine. That's fair.
Dimitri Emmanuel 16th.
Okay, yeah. He was really good in 22.
Starting offensive lineman on a 13-1 football.
You're right.
13.
You're right. You're right.
That's where I found myself. I'm like, well, these guys are going to be starting guards. They have to theoretically be in my top 25.
Right.
Again, because I don't think there's going to be 3 awesome tight ends. I don't think there's going to be 5 great wide receivers. I don't think there's going to be 4 great running backs. So it's like, well, impact. 14, Robert Scott.
Okay.
13, Renardo Green.
Yeah. Oh, I should have had him higher, but that's still pretty high, I think.
I'm disappointed in myself. I had him at number 12. You also have him at number 12. Darrell Jackson bought into the hype.
We did, man. That was we never thought. We should have known he wasn't going to be cleared by that time.
11, you had Jeremiah Byers.
Okay.
10, Fabian Lovett.
Okay, a little high on both.
I don't know if we really Byers, yeah, but he was really high on the.
He was the number
portal.
2 kid in the entire portal, and then Lovett, when he played, was good. He just didn't play a ton because of the injury.
Shaheem at 9, Patrick Payton at 8.
Okay, ooh, that's a little high.
He played well though, man.
He did. You're right. Yeah.
Fisk 7th.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman 6.
Ooh, all right. Okay.
5, Jaheim Bell.
Okay.
I had Keon 5, Jaheim 6. By the way, you had Benson 4. So did I. We had the same top 4. Benson 4, Johnny Wilson 3, Jared Verse 2, Jordan Travis number 1.
So we both had Johnny ahead of Keon.
We did.
All right. Well, interchangeable, gang. Interchangeable. And yeah, that was. Think about that. Those names you just read off. Yeah. That's pretty fun. Now, can you tell me who my 40 through 36 were?
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do that.
Number 40, Tate Rodemaker.
Okay.
Hey, he won a game in the swamp, buddy.
Exactly right.
Swamp.
And he beat North Alabama after they broke the quarterback's leg. He came in and gave him the business.
39, KJ Kirkland.
Yeah, nope.
38, Rodney Hill.
No, nope.
37, Winston Wright.
You know, he started the LSU game, is all I want to say.
Did he?
The LSU game, and he's on the field when Keon's scoring that first touchdown.
Okay.
And he never really never really played much after that. Yeah. So
he had a pretty decent season at ECU last year, though. I think he caught like over 40 passes.
Oh, well, good. Good for him. Legitimately, good for him. No sarcasm.
Vandravius Jacobs, 36.
Okay. All right. Well, look. See, that's what I'm saying, gang. And that was a good team. That was a team that should have gotten to play for in the playoff. When you get to that level, and there are not a lot of guys that have contributed or done much at the college level, it is really hard to project. So just it's an exercise. We're trying our best.
I think everybody had Johnny above Keon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So no.
I mean, and also remember now, Johnny had a good year in 23, and he was coming off the last game of 22. He almost single-handedly beat Oklahoma by himself. So that was the reason he was high on our list.
Not saying that we're going to start releasing these this week, but the top 40 is at the front of the mind of some of us as we put this list together. So maybe I was a little dramatic, but like I felt good. Like when I put I'm like, this is going to be a tough top 40. And then I just started going off the rip. I'm like, just don't even think about it. Just who do you think is going to be? And a lot of it's because, and I'm not trying to be a coward here, I will own all the mistakes I've ever said. I'm not scared of that. But so much of this now is going to be, well, he said that Earl Little was him. He said it twice. So I have to put him X on this list, right? So, yeah, that felt good first 12 guys, and after that was like, oh, boy. But to your point, and going back and looking at the 23 team, there was some of that as well. But, man, we had, Jarian Jones was like in the 20s for everybody. Dude, Jarian Jones was like 22 on a couple people's lists.
Yeah, he was kind of overlooked, and he was really good. We had no idea quite how good he was, but he was very good that year.
All right, I think that's a wrap. We talked about softball. That happened like a week ago or whatever. Wrapped up the season for them.
Well, but did Oklahoma play on Sunday? But they did lose.
They lost to Texas, I thought, on Saturday.
They did lose to Texas on Saturday. I wasn't sure if they played on Sunday, but that was good to see, especially after they miracled another win out there off the Tennessee pitcher. With a 3-run walk-off of the girl that throws 78. And it should make Florida State fans feel a little better that Texas Tech advanced to the winner's bracket, like to the championship round of their side of the bracket, because that girl has given up, I think she's given up 1 run out there. Woman, has given up 1 run in 2 games out there. Remember now, she's going against the best teams in the country because they're in Oklahoma City. She's given up 1 run in 2 games, just like she did in Tallahassee. It's ridiculous that one player can make that much of an impact in that sport, but they have, and hey, Texas Tech might win a championship. It's something. I don't know, have they ever won a championship in anything?
I can't look that up.
Cheryl Swoops, I think, counts, the women's basketball back in the 90s, and then she lost her mind, started making up all the crazy stuff about Caitlin Clark. But that's fine. We're not going to talk about that. I do want to say this, though, is if you get a chance, anyone, you're listening to this, try to go find the Coastal Carolina coach ripping Kevin O'Sullivan. I've got it here. How long is it though? It's like a minute and a half.
That's a long time. Is it
it's
good
90
though?
seconds.
Is it 90 seconds of thunder, or is it like 20 seconds of thunder and then?
It's not great. I mean, it is good. It's very good, but it's not like he never says his name. You're not even quite sure who he's talking about until he says national champ. This guy, a national championship coach. Yeah. But he rips O'Sullivan for the way he treated his site rep. The way he treated the Coastal Carolina Associate Athletic Director. When these schools put on these tournaments and these regionals, they have people that are working 24/7 to make sure they get done. He ripped the field crew apparently, And the Coastal Carolina coach, who won, I think they won, right? They beat East Carolina. They advanced to the Supers. Yeah. So it's not like this was sour grapes. Florida got beat. Florida got beat badly by East Carolina twice.
Yep.
Gave up 22 runs to that team in 2 games. Then Coastal Carolina, I think, beat them 1 or 2 to nothing. So great end of the year for the Gators. But and then apparently O'Sullivan was just a complete jackass to anyone he could talk to before the game on Sunday. Just ripped them, and nobody asked the Coastal Carolina coach about it. His press conference was over, and he's like, wait, I got to get this off my chest. Because there's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. So anyway, this is not sour grapes because O'Sullivan has won a championship and nobody at Florida State has. He is not a good human being. He is just not. You can read up on him. He is a great baseball coach, a great pitching coach. He develops pitchers. He is not a good human being. He is. Can you imagine a coach talking about Mike Martin like that after Mike Martin went on or was at a regional?
No
like
way.
when Mike Martin was at Athens his last year, or Baton Rouge, and they're like, you wouldn't believe what Mike Martin said to my associate athletic director. Yeah. Come on, man. But O'Sullivan's O'Sullivan, and he wins. He does the stuff he does off the field. You guys can all read about it. It's but it doesn't matter because he wins. But he is not a good human being. There's too many not good human beings being in charge of college athletic programs in some cases these days. And it seems like, at least to me, the Coastal Carolina head coach knows a little right from wrong. So if the Noles have to go to Corvallis and they can't get it done, I'll be rooting for Coastal Carolina, I guess, to win another. Well,
they're second. Yeah.
Do we really want? Never mind. I don't know if I want to live in a world where Coastal Carolina has 2. They've been to Omaha twice and they win it both times. Florida State goes every other year and can never win it. So never mind. I don't think I'm going to root for them to win, but it's cool if they go a long way because that guy made a fan out of me because so many times these coaches will bite their lips. And they'll say stuff off the record about this guy's a complete jerk, or you'll hear stories. He made it public. And good for him. Why are you protecting Kevin O'Sullivan? If he's a complete jerk and clown to the people that are helping putting on your tournament and running your regional, good for you to bring attention to it. Maybe it'll stop the attitude, that just the way he acts. So, are people bad people in general? If you call them out on it, maybe you'll stop them acting that way.
I don't want to address that right now. I handled it properly, O'Sullivan said about the situation after the game. At the end of the game, yes, I handled it fine.
That's all he said? Was he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So that guy's just making it up?
Double down. Double down.
I can't even imagine what that he must have said to the fields crew, the grounds crew. And I don't know anything about it. I will say this, though, one last thing, and I'm done. As much as I complain about the phantom weather delays that Florida State has this time of year every year, apparently LSU has it worse. Because I was watching their game, whoever played the second game on Friday, that game didn't get over till 2 in the morning. So it was like Dallas Baptist versus somebody. And that game didn't get over till 2 in the morning because there was a 6-hour weather delay in which there was no weather. And I heard the guys on Squeeze Play, that channel that covers college baseball, and they called it a radar delay. Not an actual weather delay, but what looks like is coming up on the radar. And I thought that was a good way to phrase it. And apparently it happens every year. And it's true. Every year, I think I'm watching a Baton Rouge game on Friday night that's getting over at 2 in the morning. It's tough this time of year, but let's just that hour, the first hour of that weather delay, Aslan, on Friday in Tallahassee, it's just ridiculous. The sun is out. It's partly cloudy. And yes, there was a lightning strike within whatever the parameter is, 10 miles, 12 miles, but it was in a storm cell that was not approaching Dick Howser Stadium. And what infuriated me the most is this NCAA rep comes on the field, has his sheets of paper in one hand, his phone in the other, looking at it like it's got the nuclear codes on it. And he tells them, you got to stop the game. You got to stop the game, blah, blah, blah. I know it's sun shining. There's nothing around us, but it's coming or it's near. It's 10 miles. I got to do what I got to do. Got to get them off the field for their safety. Meanwhile, he stood his ass on the field for 30 minutes. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. You can bleep that. But he was on the field walking around for 30 to 35 minutes before the weather really came. But it's like, if it's dangerous enough that you stop the game, why are you then standing at home plate? Why? I thought it was dangerous. Why are you risking your life with your sheets of paper in your hand if it's that dangerous? You should be running for cover. But there's no critical thought when it comes to this stuff, because you've got to know Tallahassee, man. Yes, that lightning detector will go off. If it's not a cell that's coming towards the stadium, and it wasn't, it was 8 to 10 miles away, it never came close to Hauser, why are you stopping the game? And the reason I bring it up is because what if that had been Jamie Arnold pitching? And you stop his start after 3 innings, and then you tell him to go warm back up, which they did, which this person did, the NCAA did, only to then for the real weather to hit, and it's a torrential downpour. If that's Jamie Arnold, you got 3 innings out of him the whole weekend because of a on-site rep that stopped the game with no real critical thought. And luckily, Vellini wasn't pitching well. It was actually a really good thing to happen to Florida State, honestly. Like, Bethune was not – Vellini couldn't put those guys away. His 90 wasn't overpowering them. Prescott's 99 did a little bit. So the best thing that probably happened to Florida State all weekend, other than the Miles Bailey Grand Slam and the 2 starts by their guys, was that weather delay, because, man, it might have been dicey if Vellini's pitching there. But Vellini didn't come out after the third inning, and Florida State took advantage. But it just bothers me that it happens every weekend, or every year like clockwork. And it's, hey – there's lightning in the area. No, there's not. There's lightning in the panhandle, but the sun is out. This is absurd. Let's have some critical thought, and let's keep playing.
2 irrelevant things on the way out. There's actually video of Virginia's coach landing in Starkville because he's now Mississippi State's new head coach. That was fast.
That was fast. Was he in the air when they lost?
I mean,
and would he have had to go? What would he have done if they had won? So you have to circle back and go back to Charlottesville for another night?
And then the Tennessean, the paper in Nashville, the lead for their story about Vanderbilt's season coming to an end. For Vanderbilt, this regional was a disaster. The Commodores didn't play close to their best, and it was all mental. Lesson? ? Tim Corbin and his ball club should try to have more fun with this. Florida State's having lots of fun, man.
Yeah.
Let them keep having fun. Keep talking. Careful, though, Wes. I don't know how he survived whatever he said after the 7th inning.
Well, we know exactly what he said. Yeah. We could read lips. They slowed it down. The guys at ESPN were nice enough to slow it down. But, yeah, we know what he said. But
love you,
hey,
Wes.
they didn't throw the other guy out. So I almost wanted to ask him that after the game. Like, did you feel like you had free reign to just shout whatever you wanted at their dugout or their players because the other guy didn't get kicked out? Like, I feel like it was a 1-for-1 in the umpire's like, well, I'm not kicking him out because I didn't kick the other guy out. By the way, that umpire was not good.
At all.
But he was not good for either team.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Mississippi State's the only one that got screwed. Farrow had a horrible strike. He called the check swing that started the whole thing on Hankerson that I didn't even think was a check swing, and he didn't even ask the third base ump. He just called it on his own. He was awful. And college baseball umpiring in general is gross, but that was really bad. But what are you going to do? Florida State won anyway.
2 more shows minimum this week. We'll see how it all shakes out depending on where Florida State is for their super regional.
Not looking great here as we watch this game on Sunday night. Oregon State they're up 6-1 on USC in the 3rd.
Well,
but hey, you got to beat them twice.
SC might have some fresh arms.
That's true. Let's hope. Mark Pryor, maybe.
We'll be back with 2 more shows. We'll try to talk some football, but we're also going to revel in the success of this baseball team. So join us for more. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.